game is not easy. It takes dedication, perseverance, blood, sweat, and tears. Every ounce of energy you have emotionally and physically. Baldwin Wallace soccer is now a tradition of 50 years. The many greats before us have poured their hearts and souls into this program. Some won conference titles. Some made NCAA tournament appearances. Some came up just short, and others have battled through hard times. Everyone has played their part and established the groundwork. Each and every role has been important to get to this point. That is the definition of leadership. That is the definition of greatness. Chris Hadfield, the first Canadian astronaut to walk in space, once said, "Ultimately, leadership is not about glorious crowning acts. It's about keeping your team focused on a goal and motivated to do their best to achieve it, especially when the stakes are high and the consequences really matter. It is about laying the groundwork for other success and then standing back and letting them shine." It's now time for a new group to shine. It's time for the team of 2019. This is our moment. This is why we are in the weight room all winter. This is why we challenge ourselves with new playing opportunities. This is why we individually push ourselves to the limit. This is why we grind all preseason. And this is why we are here. To make a statement, to show everyone what we are made of. There will be those who doubt us, but united together, standing strong as a band of brothers. Who's going to stop us? It's time to put another block into place in this program's history. It's time to build onto the team of 2019's legacy. Stand up and get loud. This is our time. This is Baldwin Wallace Yellow Jacket Soccer, and this is finally game time. Let's go!
Great job, Dave. Thank you. Really, really good.
Good evening and welcome to the Georgie Finnie Stadium for a non-conference Great Lakes regional matchup between the Grove City College of Pennsylvania Wolverines and your Baldwin Wallace University Yellow Jackets. Grove City enters tonight's game with a record of 1-6-1. BW comes into the contest with a record of 5-3. Here is the starting lineup for the visiting Wolverines. Wearing number 1, Jesse Grayshock, goalkeeper. On defense, wearing number 3, Alec Gaiman. Forward, wearing number 4, Justin Lind. Defender, number 5, Matt Kimmick. Midfielder, wearing number 8, Bryce Deven. Defender, wearing number 11, Trevor Lytle. Forward, number 12, Christian Caparaso. Midfielder, number 18, Noah Espenshade. Midfielder, number 19, Sam Bielitz. Forward, number 21, Kenan Rower. And rounding out the lineup for Grove City, wearing number 28, defender Aaron McFeeters. Now the starting lineup for your Baldwin Wallace Yellow Jackets. Senior goalkeeper from Ridgefield, Ohio, number 38, Patrick Mehall. Sophomore defender from Munster, Indiana, number 2, Reed Watkins. Sophomore defender from Strongsville, Ohio, number 4, Trevor Ham. Freshman midfielder from Berea, Ohio, number 5, Brandon Garabati. Chagrin Falls, wearing number 9, Zach Hoover. Senior midfielder from Kettering, Ohio, number 10, Rafael Davalos. Sophomore midfielder from Rocky River, Ohio, number 11, Dylan Keeling. Senior forward from Parma, Ohio, number 18, Joey Geither. Junior midfielder from Aurora, Ohio, number 21, Bryce Pausner. Senior forward from Berea, Ohio, number 25, Danny Rupel. BW is coached by Reed Ayers and assisted by Reese Canella. At this time, we ask that all fans please rise and kindly remove your caps as we honor America and those who protect our freedom at home and abroad with the playing of our national.
Coming to you live from Georgie Finnie Stadium in Berea. Welcome inside our coverage of Baldwin Wallace Soccer tonight, a non-conference affair with the Grove City Wolverines. Game 9 of the 2019 campaign for Baldwin Wallace. Alongside Cole McDaniel, I'm Brendan Gulick. Cole, the Jackets off to a pretty good start on the year at 5-3, but this game, I don't want to call it necessarily a revenge game, but don't think the Yellow Jackets forgot what happened when these two teams met a year ago. 6-1 the decision for Grove City, and you can bet that was a driving force for BW throughout the offseason.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where the most important part is the conference schedule, but when you look at it, in the non-conference games matter too, and let's face it, the guys who are on this team who played last year, this one sits hard in the hearts and in the back of the mind. It's one of those things where not only was it a huge loss and that 6-1 loss, but probably the worst 4-minute stretch you could ever possibly think of. I mean, 10 minutes in, get a goal, and then it was 4-0 by the 15th minute in. And so just a terrible 4-minute stretch, probably the worst one all season last year. So I know you said you don't want to say it's a revenge game, but it is tonight.
Now, the Yellow Jackets know that this is an opportunity for them to make a big statement before conference play opens up next week. Grove City in red, the Jackets in yellow. Off we go here from Finnie Stadium. Baldwin Wallace coming off of a nice 5-0 win at Waynesburg on Saturday. Grove City's had a tough year, but don't be fooled by their subpar record. 1-6-1 the record. They have been forced to play all of their games on the road and will continue to do so until Friday when they can finally open things up. PAC play starts Friday, but their first home game is not until Saturday, October 12th. If perhaps you caught the women's match between these two sides last night, we went into decent detail for you, but there's new construction that has just finished up, new field at Grove City, and they are looking forward to having a new turf facility to play in. It is a gorgeous new facility, and I know the guys on Grove City are looking forward to that.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where, you know, they're looking forward to the turf field, but they went through the same thing the women's team did. They had to be road warriors to start the season, and it's always hard to be on the road, especially to be road warriors for so long. So, again, a little bit of what we talked about last night. Record doesn't really show the capability of this team.
Brandon Garibaldi charging on the right side there. Couldn't get to it before Jesse Grayshock pounced on it. Here's your starting lineup. First for the Yellow Jackets, they'll run a 4-3-3. Senior goalkeeper Patrick Mihal back there once more. Mihal in 2019 has seen the lion's share of the minutes. He's allowed 9 goals in the 8 matches in which he's been between the pipes, and he's got a 5-3 record on the season. His left backs, from left to right, it's freshman Zach Hoover from Chagrin Falls, sophomore Attila Nagy Jr., who is a sophomore from Lakewood. Right center back, sophomore Trevor Ham, who's back for another season of Yellow Jacket soccer after a great freshman campaign. And wide on the right side, sophomore Reed Watkins. So a fairly young back line after we get a goal kick here early. In the midfield, senior midfielder from the Dayton area down at Alter High School, Rafael Davalos. Also Dylan Keeling, a sophomore from Rocky River, and Bryce Posner, who's in his junior campaign from Aurora. Mentioned Garibaldi, he's wide on the right-hand side. The left forward for the Yellow Jackets is senior Joey Geither. And, of course, at the top of the formation offensively, Baldwin Wallace's all-time leading goal scorer, which came about recently, Danny Ruppel, scored his 50th career goal. Nobody has scored more than Danny in the 50 years of Yellow Jacket soccer. It sounds like he is playing through a minor injury tonight. We'll have to keep our eye on his effectiveness. But Ruppel is out there with his team trying to give it a go.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, I've talked to Danny, and it's just it's a simple foot contusion. So it's one of those things where, it doesn't sound that bad because it's a bruise, but at the same time, as a soccer player, you're out there striking the ball, you're kicking it, and, every time that's happening, it does hurt. So, Danny's a fighter. He'll play through the pain. He wants to go out there, get his goals. But with conference coming up, pay attention to his minutes tonight.
Looking at the defensive alignment for the Wolverines, their left back is number 5, Matt Kimmick. He's a freshman from Pennsylvania. Left center back, Aaron McFeeters, a freshman from North Canton, Ohio, went to Hoover High. As Mihal comes out and gets this, closing in on the 5-minute mark. Trevor Leitzel, sophomore defender. He is at the right center back spot. And wide on the right side is Alec Gaiman, a senior from Mechanicsburg, PA. In the midfield for this Wolverines team, Noah Esbenshade, a senior from Elizabethtown. Sam Bielitz, freshman from Independence over on the west side of Cleveland. I should say east side of Cleveland. And Bryce Steven, a sophomore from Newport, Pennsylvania. That's cleared away by Nagy. And on the attack for the Wolverines, Justin Lind, a senior out of Silver Lake, Ohio. He went to Cuyahoga Valley Christian. Keenan Rower, sophomore from Colorado Springs. And a young man up top who is a senior from Fairfield, Connecticut, Christian Caparasso, who had a very good game against the Yellow Jackets a year ago.
Yeah, and Christian Caparasso, the senior forward, he was the guy who got the first 2 goals. His first one coming just before the 11th minute, and then he scored again at the 12-minute mark. So Caparasso, a dangerous threat up top, a guy who hurt the Yellow Jackets last year, and somebody they're going to have to pay attention to once again.
Flag went up on the far side of the field there for offside. Our officials tonight, head referees Dusty Matthews and his ARs John Hernandez and Tim Dickin. Grove City throw-in on the far side. Playing conditions tonight, I wouldn't say are ideal, but they're certainly comfortable. We had some light rain roll through roughly 30 minutes before kickoff this evening, but it has subsided and it never got heavy. This ball's crossed into the middle. Garibaldi was charging hard, but Gray Shock with a good effort.
Well, and the one thing, too, with the conditions is it's not poor conditions at all. It's not pouring right now. But just that light rain before does make the turf slick, so it's one of those things where look for the low-driven balls. It's going to skip. Goalkeepers are going to have to be aware of it, and the defenders as well.
Bielitz tipped to Caparasso, went wide with it. Now Nagy intercepts it and clears it away for the Yellow Jackets. Grove City has shown an early game propensity to play through Keenan Rower wide on the right-hand side, so keep your eye on him throughout the afternoon. Mentioned the Wolverines are 1-6-1 on the season. Offensively, they have not had a very good go at it. They've scored only 4 goals in 8 games, and they've allowed 16 in 8 games. But Cole, I know you think their schedule's been pretty tough so far, and perhaps it's not fair to judge them based just solely on their record.
Yeah, and you look at their schedule, and not only has it been tough, but again, being road warriors, that always plays into it as well. And you look at certain teams like, Capital, who's in the OAC. They're always a tough team. You look down, and Oberlin, a team that they lost to by the same score that the Yellow Jackets lost to, 2-1. Oberlin, another team who didn't have the greatest record, but, the Yellow Jackets went down there, and we're like, wow, this team's, better than what their record said, and Oberlin was able to put up a fight and beat the Yellow Jackets 2-1. Oberlin did it as well against Grove City. So also Penn State Barron down there, and Carnegie Mellon, known as a pretty good soccer program as well. So tough teams on that schedule to start the year for Grove City.
Yellow Jacket throw in. Grove City's had slightly more dangerous opportunities early on. Head coach for the Jackets in his 18th year, Reed Ayers. One of the not just longest tenured coaches in the league, but all around the Yellow Jacket athletic department. He has been here in Berea for an awfully long time and has had a lot of success. He's helped graduate a lot of really impressive student athletes, and he's proud of the way this team is showing some early season fight with 5 wins in their first 8 matches. Having beaten Chatham, Allegheny, Worcester, Pitt Bradford, and Waynesburg. And in several of those contests, putting up pretty impressive goal totals. 6 against Chatham, 5-0 wins over Pitt Bradford and Waynesburg. As Mihal scoops one up. In what areas here in 2019 do you see this team improved from where they were a year ago?
The things that have improved with this team, I think, would definitely be the depth. I think all the positions, I think there's more competition. In the past years, especially the past few, there were certain guys, it's like, okay, maybe it's just this person, and we know it's got to be them.
Geither centering. Couldn't quite slide one to Keeling. Boy, that looked like a good build-up for BW.
And the other thing about it is it's one of those things where you had maybe just one person, or you had, 2 people, but the other had the edge. Now, at every position, for the most part this year, there are at least guys competing a little bit more. I think giving the starters a little bit more run for their money in totality. I think there were good guys in the past years, but this year, a lot more depth. And
Justin Lind looking for the top right corner, and he puts it in. A great cross to Lind, but a marvelous shot from a long way out. Justin Lind beautifully picks out the top right corner. Grove City on the board early.
And Justin Lind with a beautiful strike, the curler there. And that's a guy who was on the score sheet as well last year. He scored the final goal, the 6th and final goal last season for Grove City. And he gets the first one here tonight. And this is what we talked about. A team that came in, not the greatest record, 1-6-1. But they're dangerous, and it's definitely a threat to the Yellow Jackets, and they're feeling it right now.
10th minute, Grove City's first shot of the night finds the back of the net. Frankly, I'm not sure Pat Mihal could have positioned himself better than he was. That was just a beautifully placed shot. Give credit where it's due. Grove City with an early strike. A foul on BW.
Yeah, and you said it. That's one Mihal can't necessarily get to. I mean, that's placed right in the top corner. Mihal laid out. He tried to use all of his length. Could not get a hand on it. I mean, it's one of those things where if you want to get critical, the only thing you could say is maybe the defense could step to the ball a little sooner, force him to his left foot. But still, it's one of those things where he had a tiny bit of room, got the shot off. Not much you can do. You just got to live with it and try to level it back up.
Frankly, he struck it from 25 yards from net. And for the most part, those shots aren't going to bother you too much. So if nothing else, Lind announces his presence, and it perhaps helps the Wolverines relax a bit on his first goal of the season. Lind is wide left here. Left foots it into the middle. Chested down by Devon. Plays wide to the right. Now Gaiman. In trouble. And the Jackets take it. Justin Lind had an assist on September 14th against Fredonia. That was his 6th career goal. He had 3 a year ago, playing his 55th match tonight. And he's on the score sheet early for the visiting Wolverines. Davalos tried to clear it away. Lynn stepped the ball.
Yeah, and that errant pass right there is what we talked about. That's simply the light rain makes it skip a little bit more, and you're going to have to adapt to that.
Mentioned Reed Ayers. How about on the other side? Mike Dreves. 14th season at Grove City. 142 wins, 96 losses, 33 draws for Coach Dreves. The last 3 years, he has achieved some pretty impressive feats. We'll get to those in just a second. Crossed into the middle, Mihal out to grab it before Rower could come to it. Grove City's collective record the last 3 seasons, and that does not include the 1-6-1 start this year, 42, 14, and 9, including the regular season conference championship last year, 51, 11, and 8 in conference play in the President's Athletic Conference this decade. So Grove City really has been impressive inside the confines of the PAC. Through ball played toward Ruppel. Danny poked it away. Now he's trying to beat McFeeters to it. Got tangled up and draws a foul.
Yeah, and that's one of those things where Ruppel's an experienced player, and he was able to make the most out of that right there. He was getting cut off, but he did kind of swerve intentionally into the defender's legs. It brought him down. Well done, cheeky, but well done to win the free kick and get the ball down in the attacking half, because that's one thing the Yellow Jackets have struggled doing so far in this game.
Ruppel will take the set piece here in the 14th minute. Grove City 1, Baldwin Wallace nothing. Ruppel spinning one. It's a good ball play to the back. Spills out of trouble. Watkins slid to it. Now the Wolverines try to counter quickly. Lind could not get to the ball. Good effort, though.
It was a good ball in by Ruppel. Unfortunately, even though it was sitting there right around the PK spot, Geither was the closest, couldn't quite get a foot on it. Good defending by Grove City to avoid any slip up there and keep the lead.
Davalos swung his leg out, got knocked down, no foul called. Referee says play on. Rower kicks one through the football uprights. Grove City last year 15-3-4. They were unbeaten in conference play, went 6-0-1. And finished with a loss at Westminster in the President's Athletic Conference tournament. They did qualify for the ECAC D3 tournament. That's a tournament that comes together after the NCAA tournament pool is selected. And they won one game, lost a game in that tournament, so their season ended with a loss technically at Drew College over in Madison, New Jersey. They did have a little postseason action last year. Trevor Leitzel ready for the free kick in the 15th minute. Flicked on frame. Pat Mihal out to grab it.
Well done by Mihal. That's dangerous. Again, Grove City, a team who's pretty good in the air as well. You see the height they have. So for Mihal to control his 6, that's exactly what you want to see from the goalkeeper.
Trevor Ham brings the ball forward. Where do you think he's taken the biggest step forward with his game this year?
I think Trevor was great on the defensive end last year. I think the one thing he has improved on big time, moving up through, saw it in Costa Rica in the spring. I think his leadership has improved. But I think the other big thing is you always looked at last year with JT Tobanek back there. He was more of the attacking center back. He was the one who would dribble it forward and get forward. And I think Trevor has really taken a huge step forward in being comfortable with dribbling forward and keeping the ball at his feet.
Ruppel got a foot to it, knocks it out of play. Well, somewhere along the way here, the Yellow Jackets need to have better offensive possessions. They've struggled a little bit to string things together. 13th all-time meeting. BW has 6 wins, Grove City 4 wins. The teams have drawn twice. Last year, Grove City won for the first time since 2014 after the Yellow Jackets took 5 of the first 6 in series history, dating back to 2007. Lind to his right. Devin dispossessed. Good work. Now it's up to Keeling playing it ahead. Ruppel runs onto it. He's got Geither getting central. Throw in.
And that was a great ball by Keeling, but here's the thing that, you notice when the Yellow Jackets play against better teams, and I think this is one of the things that leads back to, I spent a lot of time calling games for Cleveland SC. They know when to slow it down.
It's a good ball played in toward the middle and off the head of Grove City defender Matt Kimmick for a Yellow Jacket corner.
Yeah, and you see the older guys, they know when to slow it down. And in college, it's just a track meet. It's super quick, very fast, always a track meet.
Ruppel on his way to the corner. 18th minute, the Yellow Jackets with their first corner kick of the match. See if they can take advantage of it. BW still without a shot. In fact, the only shot of the game went in the back of the net for Grove City. A goal in the 10th minute. Ruppel with the left foot, hangs it toward the back of the box. It's headed by a Yellow Jacket, but over the top of the bar. It looks like Nagy that got his head to it and sent it over the bar.
Yeah, and that's a good ball in by Ruppel. Put it right on the back post over the goalkeeper. Nagy came in. Again, good defending by Grove City to get up, really bother the header attempt. But if you can keep looking to Nagy and Hammond, the big center backs, when they come up for corners, there's an opportunity to score.
Softball with some weight to it over the top. Kimmick makes a mistake, turns it over in a tough spot. Geither lost the ball. This is Danny Ruppel with a left foot, chipping backside. Davalos never had it come to him. Good interception by Bryce Devin. Good clean tackle. Eyes ahead from Jesse Grayshock. Watkins. Mihal.
And this is what the Yellow Jackets need to do to just get possession of the ball. I think calm down, slow it down. Just keep it, move it around the back. It's always great to get breakthroughs like that, though.
Reed Watkins with a good run up that right side. It's picked up by Grayshock. Watkins, open hand, slaps the turf in frustration. I don't think he struck that the way he wanted to. Was aiming more for a cross than a shot on target. A little too easy there. Nevertheless, a good ball played forward by Trevor Ham. Garabati. Couldn't get to Geither. BW trying to manage their emotions. You can tell that the frustration on certain poorly executed passes has bothered them.
Yeah, and I think it's one of these things as well. You see, you come up against a good opponent like this. Sometimes you get stretched out in the midfield and they're not connected.
Davalos plays it over to the right side. Posner chips ahead, and it's an easy ball for Grayshock.
As you know, the biggest thing in this game when it comes to possession is, sure, there's a factor that comes in the hands of the defense. There's a factor that comes in the hands of the forwards, but possession is based around the midfield. You have to be able to connect it from the defense up to the forwards. And if there's miscommunication or you're just bypassing your midfielders, it's hard to keep control of the ball.
Watkins had a good throw in. They'll showcase those abilities again. Davalos needs to go back to work. Knocked out of there by Kimmich. Well, neither team's gone to their bench yet here in the first half. We're in the 22nd minute. Baldwin Wallace down 1-0 to Grove City. Justin Lind from outside the box, left side of the field, tucked in an absolute brilliant goal in the top right corner. Right to Ruppel's feet. Danny tries to turn, finds Geither. Quickly gave it up. Davalos trying to get back. Here come the Wolverines. Playing through Gaiman. Davalos wide left. Work for Hoover. Chipped ahead. It's a good ball for Ruppel. He controls it with his left foot, and he's cut off right as he wanted to strike it. Outstanding defense from Leitzel.
And that was a good sequence from the Yellow Jackets. That's what I talked about. You've got to find the midfielders. There's got to be movement. There's got to be a connection. You saw Keeling cut in. He checked into the space. He turned, and he played a beautiful ball to Ruppel. Ruppel couldn't get the shot off, but that's well done.
It's Hoover on the throw-in. It fell harmlessly in the box. A swing and miss on the clearance try. Davalos rips it off of a Grove City defender. Mihal calls for the ball and scrambles back inside his box. Posner hits it to no one in particular out of play. 23rd minute, 1-0 Grove City. Coverage of tonight's Yellow Jacket game is brought to you by the Cleveland Clinic Sports Health Division, the official healthcare provider for BW Athletics. By American International. If you require a company with proven performance, rely on American International. And by the Courtyard by Marriott and Town Place Suites in Middleburg Heights. I have to admit, I'm not sure what the public address announcer was referencing when he just yelled 15 over the PA system. Perhaps he was calling a shot early. Wyatt Grimm checked in. Lind comes out.
I believe that's 25, right?
Oh, well, there's two subs. Wyatt Grimm and Nate Wise both checked in. Keenan Rower also checks out.
15, Wyatt Grimm.
Jackets trying to stretch the field here. Last night's game was played awfully wide all night long between the same two schools, although on the ladies' side.
And although that game was played wide, you know, most of the wide attack for the Yellow Jackets so far on the right side has been with the right back. And they haven't really been able to find Joey Geither, the left wing, out there on the left-hand side. He's been out there but having to tuck in. Nothing much to honestly find him. It's been going down the middle pretty consistently.
Caparasso. Negative pass. Kimmich ahead. Nagy over to Ham. Good connection with Bryce Posner. Wide for Hoover. Well, the back line's doing a good job of connecting when they try to switch sides of the field. Posner's had several touches tonight that have been way too firm and have turned the ball over.
Well, the thing with Posner's game is, you know, he's a great character guy. You see him, he's got the captain's armband now, and he always hustles. He's a guy who you'll see all over the field, you know, helps covering for the defense, gets up on the attacking side. But I think sometimes because he's always running around moving so fast, occasionally you will see those heavy touches. You know, just slow it down, be composed a little bit more on the ball occasionally. But you always do love the effort. I know head coach Reed Ayers loves the effort that Posner puts forth.
Here comes sophomore Josh Flanagan. Made 3 starts so far this season, but coming on as a reserve. Had an assist earlier in the year against the Capital Crusaders. He is the 3rd Flanagan to play for Grove City Soccer. His 2 older sisters, Sarah and Emily, both played for Grove City within the last few years.
That's well done from Nagy back there to shield that off. He had Caparasso coming on hard, shielded it out for a goal kick. And Nagy, a guy who I've been impressed with his move, his transition from the midfield to the defense this year.
Cannon Dees comes on for Dylan Keeling. And the Yellow Jackets make a sub wide on the left-hand side as Andres Fabian comes in. Young man from Highland High School out in Hinckley. Watkins with a right foot, crossed it into a defender. McFeeters got in the way.
And that change with Dees and Keeling, that's one where you kind of see Dees, Keeling, and Garibaldi all play around the same positions. They can all play at the right wing. They can all play at the center attacking mid. Coach Ayers decided to put Cannon Dees out on the right wing, and so that moves the freshman Brandon Garibaldi into the center attacking mid position.
Joey Geither came off for Fabian, so he goes wide on the left. Nice to have some interchangeable pieces, though, as you mentioned. Ham. Good left-footed ball. Watkins has looked pretty good so far tonight. He is not a shy outside back, that's for sure. Wants to be involved. He's got great explosive first step. Foul on Grove City.
Yeah, Watkins is a guy who's not afraid to get forward, hit in crosses. The biggest thing I'd like to see him improve on is he needs to get his hips squared, his shoulders turned around, and when he swings in the crosses, they need to come back a little bit more. A lot of times when he crosses it in, it goes towards the goalkeeper. If you can just turn it a little bit more, that would be great. But a guy who defensively wins a lot of headers and not afraid to slide tackle.
30th minute of action. Only strike so far came from Grove City. Justin Lind in the 10th minute has taken the only shot tonight, but it went in for the Wolverines. Jacket defense scrambling a touch. Ham steps to it, pulls it right off of Flanagan's right foot.
Yeah, and that was a great tackle from Nagy, stuck in the left foot, won it away, and then completed the first pass, got them on the transition.
Trying to connect with Dees, didn't work. Husband shade ahead. Maybe a chance here for the Wolverines. This is Christian Caparasso. Left-footed ball, good try, sliding it forward toward Nate Wise, but just a little bit behind him. And it got cut off. Wise listed as a defender, by the way, on the roster. He's a sophomore from Fairfax, Virginia, but he's playing in an offensive role here at the moment. Same starting back line still in there from the beginning of the night. Gaiman, Kimmick, Leitzel, and McFeeters. Posner. Davalos. Nagy, long ball for Ruppel. McFeeters intercepted it.
And that's the biggest issue, I think, sometimes with this team attacking wise is you have to play to your strength. And I think one of the things is, sure, there are times you want to launch it away and and play it ahead. If you do that, sometimes you just need to get a hold of it and put it behind the defense, because this forward line is based off of speed. It's not based off of size. You can't put it up in the air and expect Danny Ruppel to win the headers against the big center backs. So, it's either one of those things. Keep it down, try to connect with the midfield, or if you're playing it long, you got to try to find a way to split the defense or get it over and behind.
BW center back Trevor Ham needs a second as he's slow to get to his feet, but hops up okay. Clock still rolling here in the 32nd minute. Yellow Jackets know how challenging the OAC is, and they've got 2 more non-conference matchups before they dive into the heart of OAC action. They'll be at Olivet this weekend. Return home on Tuesday for Pitt Greensburg. That'll be our next telecast, 7 o'clock on Tuesday night. Here come the Wolverines through Caparasso. He's cut off. Nagy, Hoover, and Davalos. Ham back to Mihal. Yeah, good fight. Wise lost his footing, but has a throw-in go his way. Good teamwork by the Yellow Jackets, and now they've got a chance to counter quickly. Wide on the left, Fabian. Can he get off a cross? He does. Great shot there.
Yeah, and that's one where the freshman, he's a naturally right-footed player. He should have cut back, slid it across the 6, and possibly had somebody finish it off. That's a tough angle, especially when you're not a left-footed player. And it's kind of what I talked about earlier, too. It's important on those crosses to fully get your hips wrapped back around so it can come back, because that's a pretty easy save for the goalkeeper.
Good work for Hoover. Grove City throw as they bring out a fresh legs. Seth Wade checking in for Caparasso. Wade, a junior from Winchester, Virginia. 49th career appearance for the Wolverines for Seth Wade.
Entering the contest for Grove City, number 9, Seth Wade.
Fabian long out toward Ruppel, but out of his reach. Well, the Yellow Jackets surrendered a goal in the 10th minute, but have responded nicely. Grove City hasn't taken a shot since that opening tally. Somewhere along the way, BW's got to find the back of the net here and pull level.
Well, it's one of those things where, certainly for the Yellow Jacket standpoint, you hate to be down. But in hindsight, the positive thing is start off a lot better than last year in the first half versus Grove City. At least there's strides in the right direction with that, and I don't know if it's necessarily dependent upon how Grove City's playing or what the Yellow Jackets are doing right now. But after giving up that goal, didn't fall apart, only down 1-0, very manageable right now.
Well, there was a whistle. It looked like they may wave in 3 subs, but those guys were just checking over to the table. Meanwhile, Ruppel sneaks by the defense. Good recovery from Kimmich. It's a corner kick for the Jackets. Anytime you see Danny get a step behind the defense, as a Yellow Jacket fan, you get your heart in your throat right away because you know how capable Ruppel is of putting one home.
Well, especially when you have Cannon D's on the ball looking for him. That Berea mid-park connection there has always been lethal.
Here it comes on the short corner. D's chips toward the middle. Just missed Davalos' head as he hoped to redirect it. Apparently was deflected, though, off of Wolverine.
And I think Grove City got fortunate there because that was a great ball in by D's. Just had a slight curl on it. It was headed towards the back post. It might have just been wide, but that thankfully for Grove City, that touch went the other direction and not towards the goal.
Jackets have been fairly good on set pieces. They've got lots of height here. Ruppel into the middle. Ball's played for Ham. Well, after a little skirmish there, Grayshock pulled it in okay.
Yeah, and all that height comes from the defensive end. You look at the forwards, and sure, when you send the ball forward, not usually going to win the headers, but here it does come from the defensive end with this team.
Real aggressive play there from Jesse Grayshock. Both teams, wholesale changes. Grove City bringing on Ryan King, Brooks Thomas, and Ethan Bell. Yellow Jackets just checked in Jared Webb, a freshman forward from Michigan.
Entering the contest for
They
Grove
brought
City,
on
7,
John
Ethan
Taskar,
Bell.
a freshman midfielder from North Royalton.
Ryan King,
And now at the left back spot, Armand Witt, junior from Birmingham, Alabama.
And Armand Witt, a guy who started at left back through a good portion of the games early in the season and then ended up picking up an injury, unfortunately. And Hoover, the freshman, stepped in. And right now, Witt kind of getting his gameplay back, and good to see him back out there and putting in some minutes at left back.
Well, we're in the 38th minute. Grove City 1, Baldwin Wallace nothing. If you're BW, are you pleased with the quality of the looks you're getting?
I mean, I'm more pleased with the last 10 minutes getting down into the attacking end and getting some opportunities, yes. It's one of those things, though, where I'm not necessarily pleased with the lack of connection sometimes with the midfield. I'd like to see them have more possession. I think they're kind of getting into that phase where trying to launch it too far. Don't get over antsy. You've still got a full half. It's not panic time to start launching it forward. Just get the ball down the floor, play it around like they're doing right now, and I think that will help. Certainly, though, down 1-0, manageable, and I feel pretty good about the position that they're in going into the second half.
Dees to Davalos, now wide on the left. Good step over move from Fabian. Davalos once more. He wants to cross it with the right foot. Cannon Dees up at the top of the 18. Back toward the corner, and nobody cut to the ball.
The men and women's cross-country teams are
If you're just tuning in, I'm Brendan Gulick along with Cole McDaniel. Coverage of tonight's Yellow Jackets soccer game sponsored by Crown Plaza in Middleburg Heights. If you're looking for a quality place to stay before or after any Yellow Jacket contest, choose the Crown Plaza. And by Medical Mutual of Ohio, the official healthcare provider for Baldwin Wallace University. BW entered on a positive note tonight, 5-0 victory over Waynesburg. The Jackets have wins in 3 of their last 4, 5-3 on the season. Wolverines thumped BW 6-1 last year, scoring 4 goals in a 5-minute stretch in the first half. But they are in on a sour note after not scoring the last couple nights, losing 2-0 and 3-0 to Penn State Barron and Carnegie Mellon, respectively. 10th minute goal from Justin Lind, the only tally of the evening for either side. Roughly 5 minutes till halftime. Cannon Dees shouldered off the ball. Kimmick called for the foul.
There was a late whistle, and up here, I certainly thought it was a foul call because you can go shoulder to shoulder, but difference there, kind of leaned in, elbow came out, so you're going to get the call there, but a little surprised with the official waiting for that. It was almost one of those wait for the crowd to react and then call it. So Yellow Jackets still with a good opportunity, and I would expect Dees to whip this in towards the back post.
Danny Ruppel off the field at the moment for the Jackets. Dees will take the free kick. Here it comes. Playing toward the backside. Headed back forward in a diving effort by Grayshock, wide of the target. Original header sent his way from John Taskar, who snuck in from where Cannon Dees originally struck that ball.
That was a good ball by Dees, and Cannon Dees, a senior player, comes in off of the bench in this game, and I think he's given a good energy. He's, I had talked about needing to have that connection, needing to find the passes, and sure, there's been a couple passes that have went awry, but it's one of those things where a little bit of miscommunication can lead to that as well. But I think he's done a good job at keeping the ball on the ground and been moving it around, and so I think Dees has done a great job changing this first half.
Watkins, 3.5 minutes to play before halftime. Throw in. Reed with a connection up toward Jared Webb. Young man that played at Brother Rice High School up in Michigan. One of the better premier high school athletic programs, no matter the sport, in the state of Michigan. Brother Rice has produced some pretty good collegiate athletes over the years. 43rd minute.
And as we come down to the end of the first half, I can't help but notice.
Webb going to try to get to this, and he commits the foul.
And I can't help but notice still only one shot for Grove City, and they have the one goal. And as a former player myself, that's one of those things where it just drives you crazy, and it drives head coach Reed Ayers crazy down there, where the only shot given up turns into a goal, and there's nothing much you can do about that.
Yeah, and look, as the half has gone on, BW's probably been the better team. At the time of the goal, I'm not sure you could say that.
Right.
But over the totality of the 45 minutes here, Baldwin Wallace has been the better side. But you can't argue with the efficiency of the Grove City goal. One goal, one shot. They'll take it. And if you missed it, it was a high-quality goal from Justin Lind. Tucked it in the upper right-hand corner from outside the box, wide on the left. Just a perfect strike. Patrick Mihal, full extension layout. Missed his fingertips. Davalos tripped from behind, but apparently legally. Clock's inside 2 minutes. Wolverines hoping for a late push. Wade flicks it over toward Flanagan. Flanagan beats a defender, and a good effort wide from that other side of the field. Armand Witt stepped in. Throw in for Gaiman. Final minute before the break. A lot of games still in front of the Yellow Jackets, but they are playing from behind and have been for now more than half an hour.
Yeah, and you can see, there's some freshmen up top at the moment, and the midfield just not able to find them. The defender's not able to find them at the moment as well, and you can just see that. That's something they'll have to grow into and realize you got a responsibility to check back to the ball a little bit more and create some separation from your defenders. So nothing really happening as they're trying to move it forward at the moment.
D's can't catch up to it, and that could be the final play of this first half inside 10 seconds here.
Ladies and gentlemen, please turn to page 2, the BW numerical roster in your game program. If you have BW head coach Reed Ayers' signature, you are the winner of
There's a halftime horn.
Sandwich cards. BW would like to thank Jimmy Johns in Middleburg.
All right, so we've reached halftime, and Baldwin Wallace trailing Grove City by a tally of 1-0. Jackets took 4 shots, 3 of them on target. Those shots came from Reed Watkins, Rafael Davalos, Andres Fabian, and John Taskar, but none of them able to get by Jesse Grayshaw. Your thoughts on the first half?
I think the first little portion definitely was in the hands of Grove City. Again, they moved the ball around. The Yellow Jackets really couldn't even get into the attacking end, and so Grove City started pretty strong, and only the one shot, though, got the goal. The Yellow Jackets responded well. Didn't really get in too much of a rut. You know, it could have always been worse where it kept piling on the goals. Didn't happen. They got back into the attacking end and were able to get some opportunities. Nothing really great so far. I think what I see that needs to happen is they need to cut in and swing it back in and, you know, wrap the hips around on the crosses a little more so it's not going straight to the keeper. But if they fix that, I think if they do what they did in the last 20 minutes, they should be in a good position in the second half.
15-minute halftime intermission. Cole and I will step aside and bring you back live for second half play-by-play coverage. Yellow Jackets down 1-0 to Grove City at the break on BWYellowJackets.com.
Baldwin Wallace class of 91. Oswald Companies has called Northeast Ohio home since 1893. Our team is proud to serve as BW's insurance and risk management partner. At Oswald, we see risk, so you see opportunity. Learn more about us at oswaldcompanies.com. Best of luck to all student athletes this season, and go Jackets.
It's time for the start of the second half as Baldwin Wallace and Grove City are in a 1-0 contest at the moment. Yellow Jackets have given up the only goal of the game so far to Justin Lind on a really nice goal so far. He came back in the 10th minute. Along with Cole McDaniel, I'm Brendan Gulick. Cole, any thoughts here on Grove City? I know you talked a little bit about the Jackets, but how about specifically on the Wolverines as they get ready for the second half?
Well, they need to get back to what they did in the first 20 minutes of the first half. They need to get back into the attacking end, swing the ball around. I would certainly think get the ball to Caparasso, get the ball up into the forward range, and really try to, get some goals to add on to the score. But I think the most important thing is just getting possession, trying to kill the clock a little bit, and keeping the Yellow Jackets away from their own goal they're defending.
Jackets in gold and Grove City in their red and white with black shorts. Get a foul there on Grove City. Hope you're enjoying our coverage tonight. Yellow Jacket Soccer this evening presented by Jimmy John's in Middleburg Heights. We're freaky fast, so your sandwich arrives freaky fresh. Call us at 440-891. Check that, 625-0745. 440-625-0745, or you can order online at jimmyjohns.com.
Over here giving out the wrong numbers initially.
Sometimes when you have the wrong number from last year just cemented in the front of your head, you want to make sure you give out the right ones. I gave it out twice.
Yep. Well done to catch that. And
yeah, you got to do what you got to do.
Get the number straightened out.
I don't want someone calling Domino's Pizza maybe or whatever it was and thinking it was Jimmy John's. Here we go. Caparasso waiting in the middle. I think they may have called a foul on Armand Witt. You know what? The ball crossed out of bounds. That was the decision.
Yep.
So Grove City has it much further up the pitch.
Yeah, and Witt, a guy I mentioned in the first half, he started earlier on in the season, and then Hoover came in when Witt was out.
Caparasso, second shot of the night for Grove City, and it goes too high.
And then Witt subbed in the first half here, and he played pretty well. I think Witt made some good stops, was able to feed the ball out, and he's getting rewarded for that performance in the first half and out here with the start in the second.
Just a couple minutes into the second half, Yellow Jackets down 1-0.
Yeah, and Zach Hoover is out there. He is at the right back spot, as it looks like Reed Watkins, who really played the whole first half, is not out on the field at the moment.
Danny Ruppel and Joey Geither up top, along with Brandon Garibaldi, who's wide on the right. Watkins, I thought, played quite well in the first half. Perhaps just a chance for him to catch his breath a bit. He is sitting fairly close to the scores table, if you want to read into that. Ball picked up for Gray Shock. Let's talk a moment about the OAC, since we haven't really had a chance to dive too much into thoughts on the conference this year. You've referenced appropriately that Capital has a pretty good team, but they're not the only one, as frankly Capital's off to a little bit more of a middle-of-the-pack start on the season at 3-1-2. Capital's not the only team across the league that has people's attention. John Carroll is currently ranked third nationally in the latest United Soccer Coaches Association poll. And Mount Union has not lost yet. 6 wins and a draw against a Case Western Reserve team that's among the best in the region. Geither taps it behind him, but he couldn't get around the 2 defenders. Good work there from Gaiman. Tonight, Mount Union and Penn State Barron tied at 1, and they are almost at halftime. Be excited to see the John Carroll Mount Union game coming up on Wednesday the 9th, as Ruppel couldn't get around the keeper originally, but the second time he does. Danny Ruppel 12th goal of the season, and the Yellow Jackets tie the game.
Yeah, you can't help but chuckle about that one. The keeper came out, he made the appropriate save, and it's super unfortunate for his defender that when the keeper cleared it, it hit off the defender's head, came right back to Rupel, and there he is. And Rupel, the goal scorer, he scored a lot of tough goals. He scored some tap-ins, but that might be the easiest goal he'll see all year.
How about his whole career?
Yeah, maybe his whole career. All he had to do was pass it in the back of the net, and here we are, 1-1.
And if you're Grove City, the next few minutes are really important as a response because they've played fairly well with that 1-0 lead, and they gave away an easy goal. Yellow Jackets will take it. It feels like they've been knocking on the door long enough that even though the goal was an easier goal, it was still well earned.
Yeah, it's not like they've gotten a ton of shots off today. It's been more cross-based. And like I said, I just wanted to see them improve on their crosses. But, again, not too many shots, only 5 so far. But still, it's better than what Grove City's had shot-wise.
How about the career Danny Rupel's had? Pretty remarkable what that young man has done. I don't think it's any stretch of the imagination to expect that he will be a Baldwin Wallace Hall of Famer by the time his career is over. Academic All-American each of the last 2 years and a first-team selection at that. OAC Forward of the Year. Frankly, there aren't many honors that he hasn't earned. 51st career goal, 107 points now in his play.
Well, and with mentioning Danny Rupel and all of his accolades and what all he's done, just from the playing standpoint, you have to think, all these guys, whether they're out on the field right now or they're on the bench right now, they were all really good in high school. And as for the forwards, a lot of the midfielders, they knew how to score goals. And just to be able to continue to do that at such a high level now, Danny Rupel doing it in college, also is able to put up some decent offensive numbers for Cleveland SC this summer. So a guy who, not only was great in high school, but can continue to keep taking it to the next level and still have that success. There's just people that are special, and they have it, and Danny Rupel is one of them.
That's a throw-in for Grove City. 51 career goals, 107 career points. Those are both career school records. He is also the single season record holder with 19 goals as a sophomore, 45 points as a sophomore, and he took 85 shots as a junior last year. Caparasso off of Ham, second ball knocked up in the air from Hoover. So 5 different school records for Rupel as he tries to put some of those marks out of reach by the end of his senior campaign.
And on that play right there, well done by the defense. Trevor Ham stepping over. Again, you saw the ability of Caparasso, a guy who's dangerous and was driving forward, and Ham stepped in front and deflected the ball, and the Yellow Jackets escaped that. I know that was going to be a shot headed towards goal, but, not many opportunities for Grove City aside from that first goal they had. So well done by this defense so far in this game.
One more note on Rupel. This is the 9th game of the season for the Yellow Jackets. It's his 12th goal. He has scored in all but one game. Was held off the score sheet. Only took one shot at Penn State Barrand. As Grove City has a corner kick. Had hat tricks against Chatham and Pitt Bradford. Scored one goal against Allegheny, Denison, Worcester, Oberlin, Waynesburg, and tonight against Grove City. So the only team that has not felt his full wrath was Penn State Barrand. All right, corner kick for the Wolverines. It comes into the middle, headed up in the air by Trevor Ham for the Jackets. He gets a second chance. Grove City controls it, taps it over to the right. Esben Shade wide. This is Rower centering it back in. Opportunity still alive for Gianetti. Actually, beg your pardon, that's Trevor Leitzel that stepped up to it. And now a throw in. And Rower will let Gaiman throw it. 54th minute, 1-1 tie. Gaiman's long throw finds a Jacket defender. And BW sends it out of harm's way. Rupel challenging Grayshock, who apparently didn't learn his lesson the first time around.
Yeah, in that first one, I would not put it on Grayshock. He came out, he got the slide tackle, unfortunately deflected back. Rupel got the easy shot. That one, you would have thought Grayshock would have had a little bit more urgency to get it out. Rupel closing in hard, gets a foot in. Fortunate that the ball floated out for a throw-in instead of going directly back towards his own goal, but Rupel putting pressure on the goalkeeper.
Keeling spun around and lost the ball. Rower sends it way too far up the wrong side of the field. Grove City scored in the 10th minute. It was just their 5th goal in the 9th game of the season. Offensively, it's been a frustrating year. Sam Bielitz has scored twice. Caparasso, Rower, and now Lind have also scored. They're going to need at least one more if they want to come up with a victory tonight. Having played every game away from their home field so far in 2019, it's been a tough start to the year. Leitzel up the right side, and Rower had no help. Davalos, big pocket of space in the midfield. Chips it forward before Deven could get his foot to it. That's good pressure from Keeling. But better persistence by Esmond Shade. And a foul whistled on the Wolverines.
I think the Yellow Jackets are doing one thing well, and it is finding the midfielders better. I think there's a little more space right now because it's so stretched out, and it's not just the Yellow Jackets that are stretched out, but Grove City's gotten really stretched out where you see the defense back 75 yards deeper than the forwards at the moment. That opens up space in the midfield. The Yellow Jackets are finding it and then getting the through balls from there, and right now Grove City kind of on their heels.
Rupel with a left foot, hangs one in the middle of the box, headed by Ham, and it's just barely wide right. Oh, Trevor Ham was a foot away from putting the Jackets out front.
Good ball, good header by the center back. And that's one thing that I think a lot of people think it should be headed just directly towards the net, directly in the goal. But I'll tell you one thing, and I don't know the official stats on it, but I know that a lot of goals off of headers come once they skip because you'll take a funky hop or it will skip differently. So if you can head it directly into the ground, especially when you're close to the goal, there's a pretty good chance that it does actually make it and possibly go into the goal. So well done by Ham to redirect it. Really had to flick it off the side of his head. Just barely missed. Almost a goal.
Long ball played ahead. Hung too high, and Mihal able to grab it. And the Yellow Jackets 5-0 victory on this past weekend against Waynesburg. Well, I'll get back to that in a second. Rupel looking for Geither in the middle.
There we go.
Hey, Joey Geither taps one home. 2-0 BW.
I'll tell you what, that initial ball was beautiful. A floated ball for Rupel to run onto. Rupel got to it, and you let him behind the defense with speed, and there's always a danger of him cutting back and hitting it with his left foot, but he didn't need to. Joey Geither, the senior left wing, comes across, and here's the difference with him is, he's not going to score some of these like wow you type goals, but Geither is a poacher. He sticks his nose in there. He's not afraid to battle with the big boys. That's what he did there. Got in front of the man marking him and was able to poke it in off of a good pass from Rupel.
Danny Rupel with his second assist of the year. Geither with his second goal of the season. Usually it's the other way around. Geither has a team-leading 5 assists on the season. I was just about to say last time out, 5 different Jackets found their way onto the score sheet. Rupel, Keeling, Dees, Sarovic, and Davalos. But tonight it's 2-1 Baldwin Wallace. And a nice turn of events here early in the second half.
Well, and one thing I'm pleased with as well with these Yellow Jackets is there's about 2 periods of game where I've always been worried over the last couple years, and I still feel that up here, in the commentary booth. That first 5 minutes out in the second half always seems to start slow for this team consistently, and also especially if they're up, just barely up, or tied and going down in the last 10 minutes of the second half. So far so good. They started off pretty quick, looked good coming out of the break second half, and now they're up 2-1. It's just a matter of continuing to play well through the rest of the half, and once it gets down into the last 10 minutes, got to continue to play strong.
Ruppel in the 50th minute and Geither in the 58th minute have given Baldwin Wallace a 2-1 lead over Grove City. Centering pass goes back to McFeeters. Tapped forward. Geither couldn't run onto it.
And Grove City having a really hard time dealing with the Yellow Jackets right now. Before that goal, I said they were on their heels, and they continue to look like that. I don't know if it's that they're tired or just strategically not with it at the moment, but it's one of those things where Yellow Jackets continue to press forward, and there's a possibility of more goals coming here.
Hoover will throw in. It's a throw toward the middle of the box. A good read by Jesse Grayshock. Keeling. Connecting with Garibaldi. And a Yellow Jacket throw.
And that ball took a big skip, but one thing with the sophomore Keeling is you saw the potential, you saw the flashes last year. And yeah, he's a smaller guy, moves around crafty, and he played some time on the wing last year coming off the bench, but I think I like him better inside. He moves around well, and he's got good vision.
Throw in fell to a Wolverine foot. Still not out of harm's way. Finally semi-cleared. Hoover taps again wide right. Good sliding effort defensively. Posner to Ruppel. Danny with the left foot. Tried to get it central. Grove City answered the bell. Tough challenge. Wolverines can't get it out of the deep end of their defensive side. Finally sent away. If nothing else there, Trevor Leitzel just said, all right, enough's enough. Let's clear it out and catch our breath. Mihal feeling a little high pressure from Belitz and Rower. Grove City with some real opportunity brewing. Davalos steps to it, knocks it away. Has been shade cut off.
And there's the thing. I had given Trevor Ham some praise earlier for dribbling the ball forward. At that time, I don't like my center backs running too far with the ball. Lost control of it, and that's dangerous. Well done by the defense, though, to get back and cover his spot and not let a counter happen.
Substitutions for Grove City. Brooks Thomas, Wyatt Grimm, and Holton Waltney all checking on. 63rd minute. Played in right toward Mihal on one hop, and he came out to grab it as Wyatt Grimm put his right foot to it. Ham with Nagy with the left foot. Good pressure from Hoover. Couldn't win the ball. And a jacket throw. Coverage of Baldwin Wallace soccer tonight Presented by the Oswald Company. They'll handle all of your insurance and risk management needs. By Papa John's Pizza in Berea, official pizza provider of Yellow Jacket Athletics. You can call them at 440-891-1900 or go online, papajohns.com. And by Dan Andrews and Olympic Forest Products, a global recycling company.
Entering the contest for Grove City, number 9, is Seth Wade.
Seth Wade, a junior from Grove City, back on the pitch. Saw him limited minutes in the first half. He returns here with Waltney playing out wide left. Wade goes central, and Grimm is attacking on the right. Grimm, another guy for the Wolverines, listed as a defender, but he is playing in a attacking role. 65th minute, the Yellow Jackets trailed 1-0 at halftime, but scored in the 50th and 58th minutes, trying to avenge a 6-1 defeat at Grove City last year. Looking for their 6th win in 9 tries to start the beginning of the 2019 season as well. McFeeters. Wide left. Well, there's a chance this stays alive. Great hustle by Esmond Shea. Those are the things, Cole, that don't show up in a box score. But certainly make impression on coaching staffs when you give that extra effort, even when it appears like things won't fall your way. And for a guy like Esmond Shea as a senior, Grove City knows it's been a tough year, and they're looking for those kinds of things from them from a leadership perspective.
Yeah, it's important when you're down and you're chasing a game, especially when you came in with a record of 1-6-1. So it's one of those things where sometimes you can see the guys get down and not hustle for the ball, but you see a different energy here.
It was a terrific ball played toward Geither. He tapped it off to the right-hand side. Ruppel wasn't as far forward as he wanted. Geither gives the thumbs up on the way back, though. Good connection from Keeling. Well, that was something we were looking for. Both sides bringing on substitutes. Fabian returning for Baldwin Wallace. And it's Ryan King, a senior from Rockland, California. Makes his way on for the Wolverines. Mentioned it yesterday on the women's side, but on the men's side as well. This is a roster that has some real diversity to it in terms of guys from all over the country. King playing in his 8th game for the season. He's been in every night, except for one, and his 55th career appearance. I know we've talked a lot about Jesse Grayshock. He has not been the every game keeper. Luke Greenway has started 7 games this year, and Grayshock, I think, frankly, is playing okay, but he's made a couple of mistakes that have been costly. Boy, this was a tough ball for Mihal to come out and grab with Bell breathing down his neck. Spikes up. Mihal makes the stop. Last year, sophomore Luke Greenway was the President's Athletic Conference, one of their better keepers, Defensive Player of the Week earlier this season, back in September. But last year, led the conference with 6 shutouts and with fewer than 1 goal per game allowed. Second team all-conference performer. So to have Grayshock in there tonight, it's a slightly different look for the Wolverines.
Yeah, and I can tell you from last year, Greenway was a pretty good keeper and a guy who was solid for them, and not necessarily sure why he isn't in there today, whether it's for certain reasons, health-wise, or if it's related to the side of things that, hey, the record hasn't been that great. We've been giving up too many goals, so they go with Grayshock. But I think Grayshock has made some good saves, but I think needs to have a little bit more urgency when a fast forward is closing down on him.
Yellow Jacket throw near side. We're in the 69th minute. BW brings on another sub. Posner is out. Replaced by Geither.
Talk about not a long break for Geither. Geither, the goal scorer, goes off, thinks he's going to get a breather, and about 2.5 minutes later, right back in.
It was enough to slow the heartbeat down a little bit, grab some Gatorade, and get back out there.
Yeah, and Geither, a guy who, you see him in the midfield now, he's a guy who's played all over the park in his career. Freshman year, started off, played outside back, could play left back and right back. And then you saw him move up into the midfield some, still could play outside back. He's played on the wing. It's a guy who, Geither has pretty much played every position besides center back because he's not tall enough, and goalkeeper.
Well, you love that kind of versatility, heart, and effort. And for a Yellow Jacket team that is primarily made up of underclassmen, you need somebody like that to really set the tone for your program. Obviously, Danny Ruppel and his accolades are going to grab a lot of attention, but if you don't have guys like Joey Geither, it's really hard to win games.
Yeah, and there are games where teams will be able to take Ruppel out of the game, and you'll still see him on the stat sheet because he probably will still grab a goal, but there are times where he can be taken out of it. And Geither, a guy who he hustles, he works so hard. You don't always see him on the stat sheet. Of course, he can pick up goals and assists, but a guy who his whole career has worked really hard and has been a big, important factor for the team.
Here's Ruppel cutting back in. Well, Garibati couldn't get a shot off. I think Garibati may have cut off his own teammate. Baldwin Wallace 2, Grove City 1 in the 71st minute. Wolverines haven't exactly had an offensive explosion tonight. They scored on their very first shot taken back in the 10th minute. Didn't take another shot the rest of the first half. They've taken 2 shots here in the second half, but of their 3 total, only 1 on goal. Ruppel got to it first, and the ball checked up, allowing Leitzel to get better positioning. Good try from Ruppel. He's not happy with the foul that got called against him. He slid in from behind, but Danny thought he had all ball.
Yeah, and even if you get ball, sliding in from behind is always an iffy one with the officials. Now, it's one where in the pro game you're more likely to see, them actually call it a dangerous play. Studs up, the slide tackle from behind, more likely to see a red. You don't see as much of that. It's not as consistent in the college game. It kind of depends upon whatever ref you have. There, no card for Ruppel.
That's a gorgeous ball for Fabian. Fabian draws the corner kick. That's what you wanted to see last time, right? Where he tried to cut back and put the ball on his right foot.
Yeah, exactly. And I think sometimes if they're giving you the left foot and it's the only thing you can do, you can drive in and you can play it back across, that's fine. But I wanted to see him cut in because he's either probably going to win a corner like that or he's going to be able to whip a ball that is kind of directed towards the back post.
Well, a goal here for BW could give them some real breathing room. Ruppel will take it. Left foots it toward the top of the box. Headed out. Keeling came to it, but got stuffed. That's a good play from Wyatt Grimm, who then just sends it up the middle of the park the other way. Well defended there by the Wolverines. Yellow Jackets with a 1-goal edge. 73rd minute.
And one thing with the ball going back to Mihal, I know he just had a quick touch and picked it up. But it's a guy who I'm never really concerned when the ball's rolling back to him. If it's a properly weighted ball, there's nothing risky about it. Or even if the ball's coming back and he does have to hurry up, Mihal's one of the better goalkeepers with his feet. He's a guy who, you could joke around. He'll joke around and be like, hey, put me at the number 9, And of course, always fun to joke around about stuff like that, especially in the off season when you're just playing around on the field, playing some little futsal games or 3v3s. But he's a guy who can go out there and with the best of them with his foot skills.
Garibati called for the foul, sets up a free kick for Grove City right around the midfield line. Wolverines are only down a goal. No reason to panic yet, but they can't afford to give away good opportunities, given the fact they have not gotten very many looks on frame. Pretty good pressure from Drew Yoon. Well, I'd tell you who's coming on for Grove City, but perhaps it's better to tell you who's not coming off. They are essentially subbing out the whole team. Looks like their center backs, Leitzel and McFeeters, are not changing. I'm pretty sure just about everybody else came on and off.
And no goalkeeper change.
No goalkeeper change. It looks like they brought 8 players on. Flanagan, Devon, Caparasso, Gaiman, all among the new faces. Rower comes back on. Sam Bielitz has returned.
Yeah, and my biggest concern with that is as we're getting down closer and closer to those last 10 minutes, not many substitutions for the Yellow Jackets. These guys have been running on these legs for pretty much this whole second half. See a little bit of warming up in the corner, but not too much action for the Yellow Jackets subbing in the second half. And Grove City gave most of their guys a break, and now out here with fresher legs than the Yellow Jackets have.
But the Jackets lead the game 2-1. Garibaldi taps it forward. He goes down, and the whistle comes. Baldwin Wallace free kick with just a quarter hour remaining. BW on top of Grove City 2-1. Jackets looking to pick up a result against Grove City for the 4th time in the last 5 years.
You know, as a lefty myself and a guy who, loved to take set pieces and free kicks, this is one where I like the distance, I like the angle. Have a rip towards the back post here.
Well, Ruppel certainly not afraid to take rips. He thought about it. Good call. Misses it high and wide, but not by much. Baldwin Wallace making 2 changes. Looks like they'll bring Jared Webb on. And Bryce Posner returns. Keeling and Garibaldi sub off.
And so Webb will be at the number 9. He'll be the center striker, and then Danny Ruppel will move out to the right wing and try to take advantage of cutting in to his left foot.
Excellent find. Gaiman get back to the middle. Nagy's clearance negated. Flanagan. Grove City keeping it alive. 3 bodies hit the turf, none illegally. One of the things you love about Jared Webb, even though he's listed at 5'11", he's got some real size to him. Davalos sticks his leg out, denies it. Now Devon in the corner wins a throw. Webb's a big kid. He's physical.
Yep, he's the football linebacker of the team.
He really is. And frankly, he looks like it. Good long throw. Centrally, flicked on frame, but not threatening for Mihal. Alec Gaiman struck it with the right foot.
The women's soccer team, 7-3 overall, will wrap up non-conference play on Wednesday.
77th minute. Jackets 2, Wolverines 1. Ruppel's lucky he didn't get called for flying that left elbow out into Gaiman. Gonna have to be careful. Knocked ahead here. Davalos tried to slow things up. He was fouled. And the Jackets will take their time with a free kick. How difficult is it when you have a 2-1 lead late in the game and you're tired? You know you just saw the other team bring on a bunch of fresh legs. Does that mentally drain on you at all, knowing that you've got a tough fight in front of you?
Well, I think it's one of those things where you just have to take care of business, but not going to lie, with being a player, it's one of those things, you're out there, you're tired, you look over and you see 8 guys coming in. That's kind of where you kind of have to, have a big sigh and be like, great, look, all these fresh legs coming on. This is the last thing I wanted. But it's as much of a physical thing as it is a mental thing. When your body gets tired, sometimes your mind gets tired. So you just have to stay focused and stay locked in. And as long as you can, deal with the mental side of things, your legs will at least hold up until the end of the game usually.
11 and a half minutes left in regulation. Flanagan denied by Davalos. Right foot into the middle, dangerous spot, and the ball slips past. The referee a little late blowing the whistle, but it definitely went in. Tying goal for Grove City. I believe it was scored by Caparaso, and the Wolverines tied at 2.
Yep, in the 79th minute, so we were just approaching that last 10 minutes that I was talking about, and it's something with this team where they have the talent and they have the ability, but I just talked about tired legs. Sometimes that can make your mind tired as well, and there was the slip up. Let the man that was being marked get in front of the defenders. He got the poke on it, and a fortunate bounce for Grove City, but still, that's one of those where ball rolling across the 6, and you make a mistake, and you pay for it. So now 2-2, and you got to make some things happen.
Caparaso, first team all-conference a year ago, and as a sophomore, as a freshman, he was second team all-league. They're going to credit Sam Bielitz with the goal. Okay, well, I thought Caparaso was the one that tapped it in. Either way, Grove City still threatening here. Bielitz had a game-winning goal on September 14th at Fredonia.
And you can just see it right now. And Yellow Jackets have dominated the second half. They dominated it from start to the point of that goal.
Short corner, hit toward the back post. Still in a tough spot. The Jackets cannot get it out of harm's way. Finally, Mihal dives on it.
And fortunate as Mihal comes out and is able to collect that. That looked like it was going to be bouncing around and go in the back of the net. But I just mentioned it. You just see the switch. You saw those subs come in. They got acclimated. They had a couple minutes to get adjusted. And then, bam, they went right after the tired legs of the Yellow Jackets, who have not really done much subbing at all in the second half.
McFeeters got back to his feet. I think he was trying to convince the athletic training staff that he was okay. The referee blew the whistle to stop the clock, so McFeeters has to come off for a moment, and they'll check him out. Who knows who got hit where down on that scrum right in front of the goal, but Yellow Jackets' hearts collectively stopped. No doubt about that. 10:01 left on the second half clock. It's BW 2, Grove City 2, as Mike Dreves, the head coach, has a word with the official and says, wait a second, why was play stopped there, and why does he have to come off for a moment? But McFeeters will head back to the scorer's table here shortly. In the meantime, Grove City playing down a man.
Injury substitution, number 28, Aaron.
You know what? They've made a sub. Played in toward the middle. Caparaso to his left. Wolverines trying to hang on to this momentum. Into the middle, slips through to the back post. Nobody home. Devin, the closest player. Looks like McFeeters has been replaced by Jeffrey Biddle, the junior from Grove City. Baldwin Wallace has played one overtime game this year. They came away victorious 2-1 at Allegheny. Grove City twice has gone to extra time. The game winner I just mentioned a bit ago, Bielitz had it over Fredonia. He won the Offensive Player of the Week in the league. They also drew their opening game as Baldwin Wallace is going to have a foul at the, or I should say a free kick at the top of the box, 10 yards removed. Yeah, if you're going to take a free kick, this is a pretty good place to have one.
Yeah, and this is always one where I would have liked to take it as well because you're farther out. See, when the closer you are to the 18 hitting a free kick, the harder it is to get it up and over the wall and get it down again. This is one where you could hit it with power, get it up, and have plenty of time to drop it.
Ruppel's left foot. It is almost inside the left post. Outstanding save by Grayshock.
Great save, and that is a great strike from Ruppel. He just got into it with the laces, just the inside of the laces. So he had the curl. It was going towards the post. It was going to sneak its way in, but a great save as Grayshock had to completely lay out for that one.
Corner kick for BW, their 4th of the match. 83rd minute, level at 2.
Bryce Posner is wide open right now at the top of the 18.
Yeah, he is just hanging out, waiting for a chance. Davalos to the backside, headed free. Finally kicked away by Caparaso. By the way, Reed Watkins has since come back in it, right back.
See, and that's one of those where you take what is given to you. And with Posner wide open right there, all you have to do is play the ball out, rolls out to him, and then he can really strike it on a one-time or even set it up. And he's a guy who I know can strike good shots from out there. I've seen him score from outside the 18 many times in his career. So why not take what the defense is giving you there off the corner?
Garibaldi comes back in. Fabian comes back on. I know Webb just checked off, so Ruppel goes back to a center striker role. Meanwhile, they have made a correction on that last goal, crediting Caparaso with an assist and Bielitz with the goal. Originally, they had said it was unassisted, which didn't make much sense. I knew Caparaso was involved in the play, but I thought he was the one to touch it in. Either way, for Bielitz, it's his team-leading 3rd goal of the year, and it was a big one, tying things up at 2-piece. Watkins, lengthy throw in. Not much time remaining. 84th minute. Touch forward from Witt. Defense trying to recover. Through ball for Caparaso, too far out in front of him. Fabian curls one into the middle. Was off McFeeder's head and went the wrong way. Jacket throw. 5:57 and counting.
Well, and it's happening again on tired legs right now. It's turning back into a track meet. It slowed down for a little bit there. It was more calm and composed. And now we're seeing both teams get stretched out again and just trying to go after it. And so on tired legs, it's tough to be spread out like that and have to cover more ground.
Baldwin Wallace, 2 goals on 9 shots, 5 on target. Grove City, 2 goals, 7 shots, 4 on target. Yellow Jackets have only surrendered 2 corner kick chances. They've taken 4 of their own. Big match here in the non-conference as BW tries to win their 6th in their first 9 games of the season. And considering how deep and challenging the OAC is, you need to pick up wins as often as you can before you get into league play. Fabian lurking on the backside. This one's hit across, deflected out for the 5th Baldwin Wallace corner kick with 4:50 and counting.
Nobody paying attention to Garibaldi short here. They could easily just tap it in. Ruppel runs an overlap and swings it in. We'll see if they do that.
Left hand in the air for Danny. Here it comes, backside. Nagy got his head on it, out of play. 4:20 and counting. Jackets only playing at home for the 3rd time here in 2019. Things have gone well in this second half. Can they come up with a game winner? Fabian cuts it back with the right foot across. It's hit wide left. Good idea, good effort.
And that's well done. Joey Geither stepped forward. We talked about him earlier, a hustle guy. He can play any spot right now. He's still in the midfield, stepped forward, intercepted it, played it through. Fabian cut back, like we talked about as well earlier, good ball. Posner ran through, just not able to get it on frame. That's better from the Yellow Jackets, though.
BW free kick, 3:22 and counting. Oh, Davalos was ready for it. Instead, Nagy will let the troops set up. Watkins creeping up that far right side. Nagy left foots it back where Watkins originally was. Headed back to the middle of the box. Cleared away. Heavy touch won by the Jackets. Davalos helping Fabian. Taps it back to him. Andras into the middle. Posner cuts back and lost it. 2:45 and counting in regulation. Watkins one-on-one against Flanagan. Gaiman, long one over the top, onside. Rower. Right foot's into the middle of the box. Witt heads it free. Nobody collapsed down on Gaiman. Taps it back to himself. Just over 2 minutes to play. You can feel the urgency from both sides trying to come up with a game winner in normal time. Ruppel left foots it and mishit it. Less than 2 minutes to play. Wolverines play through Rower. Garibati there. Rower still has it. Now Bielitz came up with the tying goal. Caparasso with 1.5 minutes to play. Tried to split the defense, lost the ball. Here comes BW. Ruppel turns, defense comes to him. Fabian had to hold up or else he would have been offside. BW throw with 1:15 on the timer.
And the midfield is just gassed right now for the Yellow Jackets. I'm looking at Joey Geither's kind of the exception. He's almost this guy who can go out there and he could honestly run a cross-country race right now and still do pretty well. But I see Davalos looks exhausted. Posner looks exhausted too. The midfield struggling, trying to run both ways at the moment.
.45 seconds to play. Free kick for Grove City. Could be the last real chance in regulation. Caparasso will hit it. Wolverines looking for a game winner. Top of the box, Flanagan, Bielitz turns the shot. Ricochets off the side and goes in. Unbelievable. Trevor Leitzel with 13 seconds left.
Yep. And, saw it coming. The pressure changed. Last 10 minutes, talked about earlier. Went into the 79th minute with a 2-1 lead. And this is something that's happened, in years prior. It happened at Oberlin this year. Yellow Jackets had that lead in the last 10 minutes. Not favorable, and now with just 12 seconds, going to have to play it deep, and everybody's going forward.
Mihal sends it ahead. 6 seconds to play. That's your ball game. How about that? A stunning victory for Grove City. Just their second of the season. Sophomore defender Trevor Leitzel from Richfield, PA. Played well as a center back, but the guy with some real size played forward on that set piece. The ball came down originally off of Devon, came to Bielitz's foot, found Leitzel, and he put a soft shot toward the right side. It hit the right post outside Mihal's reach and deflected back into the back of the net. And the Jackets have their hearts ripped out on their home turf. Final score, Grove City 3, Baldwin Wallace 2. Tough one for the Jackets to swallow tonight. Grove City goes to 2-6-1 on the season. mention that they are opening up conference play here shortly. They've got Teal coming up in their next matchup. And again, it'll be the opener for President's Athletic Conference play on the road in Greenville, PA on Friday night, just 2 nights from now, Friday night at 7 o'clock. Yellow Jackets will be back on the field Saturday at Olivet at 2 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. They'll have one more non-conference home game against Pitt Greensburg, and then they open the OAC at Capitol on Saturday, October 5th. Cole, your final thoughts?
Yeah, and my final thoughts going, really, let's just focus on the second half and what happened. The Yellow Jackets came out strong. They dominated the game and just until those last 10 minutes. And it's the big thing. And, you know, it's Reed Ayers made the decision not to get too many subs in there. It was one of those things where you could just see the legs getting tired. Grove City subbed at really just the perfect time. They put 8 guys in who had really made an impact then there in the last couple minutes, and you know, you give up a free kick in that spot with under a minute left to go, and it's dangerous. Ball bounces around. Grove City finishes off, and you know, it's a heartbreaking loss, and that's kind of just how it goes.
So the Jackets lose a tough one tonight. Final score 3-2. For Cole McDaniel and our production crew, I'm Brendan Gulick. So long from George Finnie Stadium. Grove City on the road in stunning last-second fashion rips out BW's heart tonight, winning by a goal. We'll see you next time, Tuesday, October 1st. The Jackets back home at 7 o'clock. Have a great night, everybody.